go back to the church in the wilderness. The church during the, we didn't call it a church, but effectively it was. The people of God who were selected to use them to reach out to other nations. And these were the children of Israel. They were constituted into an organization. Because some politicians say organization is all, politics is all about organization, bringing people together to champion a cause, to take power, to rule a nation. If you don't organize well, you can't achieve your objective. So God made Moses the leader of the people, but they had other structures within the children of the church at that time, or the children of Israel. We had the council of elders made up of 70 people who were helping Moses to lead the people. Yes, and he said to the Jesse, Moses' father-in-law, he told Moses to organize the people into thousands, into hundreds.
Elder, you are muted.
Okay. Please remind me when it goes off. Okay. And we saw it in the children of Israel. We also, in the early church, we also saw something similar to the need for organization. We can't do it without an organization. So there are people who, yesterday I mentioned that there are people who do not seem to like the structure or the organization. But we have no other option. We can work on it, but the organization I have today is sufficient enough to do the mission. I think that is the bottom line. Are we able to do the mission with the structure that we are reaching and for Christ? Right, then at the right time, I will allow you to ask the question. So, the early church, we had the apostles. Then the apostles, when the work became too tedious for them, or they chose the deacons. And we saw later when the church started growing, going to Asia Minor, going to reach Europe, the Roman Empire, they put in place structures to manage the church. So we are on course. with the structures that we have. Let me touch on. But what is the main reason for our structure today? As I've already said, it is to do mission. And any church that doesn't do mission is a dead church. And so that's what we exist for, to reach out to other people. And through so many means, we have the school system, we have our health systems, we have our institutions of higher learning. We have so many structures all coming together to reach out to people. So no one structure is sufficient, and no one structure is to exist on its own. There should be synergy between the institutions of the church. Let me touch on the church as we have it today. Yesterday, Emra the structure, and we touch on the structure in Ghana currently. We have the local church, which is the basic unit of our structure. The local church, once ordained, is autonomous. In fact, it has the right to take every decision which is consistent with the Bible and the manual. In fact, when a local church, an ordained church, takes a decision, the General Conference cannot change it, provided it is based on the manual and the Bible. If the local church takes a decision and the conference has reservations about the decision, it's a sort of local church now, or new or more reason together. They cannot change it and reason together until the local church decides to change the decision. They cannot force it on the local church. So the local church is so important. And at the local church, we need to study and we need to manage things properly, such that no higher ecclesiastical institution will query our decisions. And then yesterday we saw that from the local church, we go to the conference or the mission. There are sections of the church that are not matured enough to be called conferences. Those are called missions. And the missions grow to become conferences. When a field is a mission, it is the higher institution, which may be the conference or the union, which would appoint leaders for that institution. Just like when we have a church, a local church is not organized. It is managed or supervised by the ordained organized church that it reports to. And sana conference, the relationship between the conference and the mission is. Okay. Then from there, yesterday we saw, and I've told you I want to emphasize this because a lot of us don't know how the 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 the, the, the church runs. So the local church, the mission, uh, um, a number of missions or conferences come together to form a union. And the union is so powerful that it is represented at the general conference. The general conference is the highest authority. It has the ecclesiastical authority that God has for his church. And Ellen White has said that God has ordained, I quote, God has ordained that the representatives of his church from all parts of the earth, when assembled in a general conference, have the authority to take a decision for the church. So the general conference is the highest authority, and its decisions are final until it decides to amend or change its own decision. So that is how your church and my church is organized. I'll pause here for questions. Any question before I proceed? Like your viewer question. Okay. Let me
And please, you are off. Your sound is not.
thank you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Okay. This church is based on representation. Its decisions are not vested in any individual. At the general conference, we have the general conference president, but he is a primus inter pares. We have other presidents or vice presidents who work with him at the general conference. And he does not take any decision which is binding on the church. Between the highest decisions are taken at the general conference sessions, and we know one was held last July. In between general conference sessions, you know that general conference sessions are held every 5 years. Now, that is how it's structured now. It used to be annual meetings, but with the growth of the church, it has now for many years, it means every 5 years. In between the general conference sessions, we have the general conference executive committee, which takes decisions which are also rectified at the next general conference session. So power is not vested in any individual. And it's the same thing at the local church. The local church, we have elders, we have church board, and sometimes serving elders will take certain decisions, but they'll bring it to the board for rectification. We do this based on the counsel from the spirit of prophecy. We cannot entrust any individual with power. We know what happened in heaven. Satan decided to use his beauty, his influence to rebel against God. Power, they say, corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And we are careful not to invest power in any individual. So let me put it this way. So the church is based on representation. Representatives of churches meet and they take decisions for the church. We don't have executive powers vested in individuals. Yes, we have executive presidents who can take certain decisions, but not on decisions that have serious implications for the church. It's not vested in any individual. It's vested in, for example, at in the local church, as we know, we have the board. At the conferences, we have executive committees, and as we go up, they have, as I indicated, at the general conference, they have the executive committee, which operates on behalf of the general conference in between sessions. We also have what we call the annual councils, where all the union presidents meet and they take decisions that some of which are sent to the executive committee of the general conference, or they wait to the next general conference session. So all that the manual is saying, and I'm just presenting it, is that we operate representation. That is why this church has a lot of meetings. If you go to you study any structure of the church, we have lots and lots of meetings because we have not invested power in individuals. For almost every little thing, we need a number of people to meet, to discuss, and take decisions because of the concept of representation and because of the fact that we don't want power to be vested in any individual. Okay. Any questions, please? Obi, any questions? Okay.
Hello, Elder.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, my son Busano said, Yahoo structure no you open on. Say the hem or affairs, that's the highest decision body, no, a general conference. But here's the case here. A me cannot say individual, a group of people, and ye free the various structure in the course of take decisions. The mean we no say the theater is no or more no me phone motumi atene no me who some a consultation down to the local church. For instance, say more general conference meeting empra hin bi a omo local church no ehunu issue a womo eko debate hu anase ye proposal edi akọ ye hu bisa eti ekema akoye say the only pastors and ehyiamu ewo conference na they take decision and they be anoma carry to the next level yeni ayewo form no omu siki yenso opinion eba no sa unyini se ebeduru baabi no epele asofo no kwa meditate ama church no.
Okay, I think you have a point. Let me attempt to answer you. Sir, Omuko GC session, General Conference session, the people who SS Omuko, and I choose executive committee, or choose by represent church in every conference or mission. Now, but some of them, by virtue of their positions, they are you don't dispute it automatic. As to whether they do consultation with church members, I think you are largely correct. I haven't seen it. So people go with the intention of representing the church, but how much consultation they do, because the church, before they go for the general conference session, the program is out already for several months. So they know the issues that are going to be discussed. So ideally, and I stand to be corrected, I hope Mrs. Roberts, around. She has been, because of baby or year previously, and of course with Pastor who was at the union and the division. He has a lot of information. Yesterday she shared some with us. So ideally, on issues that are a bit contentious, they should seek the views of members in their constituency before they go. As to how they do it, I'm not familiar, and I don't. So, Mama Roberts, if you are around and you have any or any other person, so any experience or you know something about this subject, which is, I believe, I agree with Elder. It's the same as when we are going for conference sessions. People who represent the local church are to seek their views on issues that are likely to be discussed. So it's the same principle. And if we have not been doing it, I think that is why we are learning the manual. We are going to the doing this manual week. As I said, who near baby you told me na correct you. And so this is what I would say for now. Hello?
Okay, thank you, Elder.
So I know.
Elder,
Yes.
and I'm in Patronti. Said December 6 conference session here ebokwe. Na local churches no ya pow obi a wokwa represent church na amaye no. Maybe say enti if that be the case nipa na ya pow no so nkwa represent church na amaye no. Obetumi ehia church no na waji a view on the matters mokwa discuss ho no. So be also betumi adult no down. Na in case of kwa also bet me a say church now or representing this is their issue on the matters almost discussing one.
Exactly. That is what they should do. That's exactly what they are supposed to do. So when they go, they speak on behalf of the local church, not on their individual, on their own behalf, on behalf of the local church. That's why I was saying that the church operates on representation. And you will say, you know, such the number of people from the church, each church, will depend on the church population. If your population is, let's say, 100, and another church has a representation of a population of 200, you are not going to have the same representation at the session. That is how it's structured. Mm-hmm. In the past, I doubt whether we have been consulting church members before going for sessions. Now we are learning this, and we have to do it. Thank you. That's your full floor question. Any question?
And the other,
Mm-hmm.
question, person business say, and this a ban is local church, you know, yeah, representation, be able to represent local church, you know. Na another influence a conference my representatives be able represent, and that's a be a discuss matter no more the ba. Local church in which me sorry I say since omunya aware no they against the matters no more discussing they against and I say which me vote I say they don't agree on that the matter.
No, they cannot do so because when I want to take advantage of the representation, the conference will say that okay, no one of bring 2 people. If someone find 2 people now, the conference has no responsibility.
And I'm sorry, and I'm not sure. The American say, if you are conference, you know, I notify and say, young folk be married represent church, you know. Or my may be and I say, or my may and kai be then the conference has go ahead, or my year or movie be then we or their bless say be Nungua of issues by me. Maybe say, yea, or my may notify be one. Can we against the what they have brought it up and say, yeah, against the engine? It's as a man can be answering no matter discuss matter. No,
okay.
maybe, sir.
But I'm also looking at how possible would that be? Because before the session, the conference will write to every church. Unless maybe there's a problem between the local church and the conference. And they think that coming there would cause a problem. I don't know how it will happen that a local church will not be represented. I've not had any experience of that before, but it's possible. And when it happens like that, I think that the best way is to meet the conference authorities, officers, and discuss with them your points of view. Because we don't take matters to court. We have to negotiate, we have to discuss and come to agreeable resolution to whatever problem there may be. But it will be I think it may happen, but it doesn't often happen.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you too.
Yeah, Elder.
Mama, good.
Yeah, I've been listening.
Okay.
Concerning the Apiaje's question, no, about whether the GC consult, whether they do consultation. I think what you said is all right. I mean, it's perfect. You see, normally when it comes to planning the GC session, they just finished July. This past July, they have started planning for the next 5 years. So during this period, they do all the necessary consultation with the various fields. The unfortunate thing is our local conferences may not come to our local churches to let us know what is happening. But for the GC, they make sure all these things are done. That is why we have representation. So if even the pastors that they go or the lay people that they go, most of the time, the unions, they sort of tutor them. I mean, they train them what and what and what and what and what. So when they get there, they know exactly what to do, what to say and what not to say, because they are given the opportunity to talk on behalf of their field, where they are coming from. So the GC do their part. It's just that at times when it comes to our own side, we don't do that. Then also the set talking about the conference. The conference already I know they've written to the various churches. I know Nungua North, we have chosen our representative. So if now that we are learning, I'm taking it that we don't know, we are learning. So let's tell who is going to represent us. If we have any problems that we want addressed at the conference, at the session, we can let the person go through the person will take it up. I think that is how the system works. Normally, just like you said, representation is by membership of the church. I know Nungua, they ask us for one because of our membership. The other churches within our district may not even get a representation because of the membership they have. But since we are a district, Ghana here, because of our district, whether 2 or 3 or 4 that will present will be at the the session. When they come back, they should let us know what transpired during the session. Yeah, I think for now, this is what I can say.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Any other?
Hello, Elder.
Yes.
Yes, Adam Pacho, I wanted to find out. I think you made a statement saying, if a decision is taken, I mean, it can be reversed. I mean, I just wanted to, this scenario, I think a year or 2 ago, I mean, the decision was taken, say, about the tightener. I mean, instead of the tights when it going wrong, no, we should come forward and rather drop it in the tight bowl. But I think for some time I realized I think we've reversed back to the old ways of doing it. So I wanted to find out that decision, was it right or not? It wasn't right.
Thank you very much. That decision was problematic in itself, because I'm saying it was problematic because I know about it. And that decision did not come from the union or from the executive committee of the union. It came from just a department, the stewardship department of the union at the time. And I remember I questioned it, that this decision does not have what it takes to be implemented, because whoever wrote that letter, and it was Pastor Sampa who wrote that letter, it didn't carry the weight it had to, because this church has a structure for everything we do. If you want to change the structure, the system, you have to go through the proper channel and have the decision. It was just a whimsical decision. And I am happy, personally, I'm happy that it has been reversed, because it didn't have the authority of the church. It had the authority of some individuals, but not the church. And that's why I've said that this church is based on representation. If you want something to be done, go through the proper channel and have a decision taken. If you don't do that, you are bringing confusion, division in the church, because certainly there are people who will not succumb to that. So, so that's what I can say about this.
All right, thank you.
Please, but what you said? I remember vividly. I was the outgoing first elder. That was the time I was going to Tamale. So they gave certain reasons that when everybody comes in front, you get more money. But it ended up that we were not getting more money anyway, because it didn't follow the proper channel. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any more questions? Oh, okay. Okay, let me.
Ada.
Yes.
I think I have another question here.
Okay.
Ada, I think so. You did also mention every organization we have the policies are govern. I mean, organization. You know.
Mm-hmm.
My challenge. Sometimes some of the policies, you know, mm-hmm. I think it has been in existence for a very long time. Well, I wanted to know. So those policies, you know, is there a plan to review those policies? Because sometimes I thought those policies, you know, I say I had a bisa, no, excuse me for my language.
Well, they say if it is not broken, it doesn't have to be fixed. It may be old, but it may be working. If for some reason we think that it's not working, even the local church, let me say that the local church, for example, Nungua, if we have an issue, we can raise it with the conference. If the conference is not able to resolve it, they will take it to the union all the way to the general conference. That's the beauty of our democracy. So if something is old but it's working, then it doesn't have to be fixed. But even if it is new and it's not working, then we have the opportunity to propose changes to it. And unless we are an example of something, a policy or a theology that we think is not working. But it goes through a lot of scrutiny before it will be a table at the general conference session. So that's how the Mama Roberts kind, we have 5 years. So for a general conference session, in between, a lot of things take place. Here we don't often see it, but in Europe and in America, a lot churches submit a lot of proposals and for review, and some are accepted, some are not accepted. We know this controversial issue about women's ordination. It's still lurking around. So it's a major decision that the church has tried to take. We haven't succeeded in getting one decision for the world church. Some divisions have decided to go ahead and ordain women, but the problem is that in this church, if you ordain a pastor, you ordain the pastor for the world church. So if your decision is not based on a world church decision, then it doesn't carry weight. We may have them as local elders, but that will be the end. They cannot officiate. If you decide to ordain a woman as a pastor in Europe, that woman cannot come to Africa because we don't accept women's ordination, or we haven't accepted it yet. So the person can be a local pastor, but he cannot be for the world church. Thank you.
Ada. Quick one. Is there a challenge with having women ordination? Because I just wanted to also, quite recently when we went for section, you could look at new leaders who were elected. Looking at the numbers, I think when it came to the side of women, I think we only had 5 women out of the I can't remember the exact number. Out of the total elected members. It seems to me when it comes to probably having women at the top there within the Adventist church, it's a kind of a problem for me. That's what I see anyway. Yes.
Yeah, you have a point. The thing is, it's a highly theological issue, very, very top level theological issue. And also sometimes it also borders on culture. That is why in Africa, generally, the women's ordination issue did not receive acceptance, general acceptance. In certain cultures, it's accepted. I don't feel confident to talk about it because it's for the theologians to lead the discussion. And for now, the church has suspended a decision on it. So it's important that we also don't get into it because we cannot do anything about it. We can express our opinion. We can theological discussions. But you see, anytime issues about theology come, I caution people because you need to understand the original languages in which some of these things were written. You need to understand. You need to understand Greek. You need to understand Hebrew to be able to read the original text and understand. Some of us are limited, highly limited about. Even pastors who study Greek and Hebrew, they just do the basic ones. They don't go far enough. So it's highly technical, and I personally don't want to get into those kinds of discussions.
Hello.
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 Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Elder, thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening.
It's a bit noisy where I am, but so my question has to do with jurisdictions. To what extent does the local church have power? For instance, when the communication came to change the way the tithe was handled, did the local church have the power to decide how they wanted it to be done?
Yes.
And what would be the process? And then things around order of service. So these are two examples, right? The way tithe is handled, order of service. So is there clear definitions that give the local church the authority on certain decisions they can make on their own?
Good question. The order of service is clearly defined or explained in the manual. We have the long order, the short order. This is in the manual. No local church can change it. And that decision we are referring to it lacked the locus, whether locus or lucus. I don't know which one is the correct one. It didn't, and the local church could have sat down to decide that we are not going to implement this. We didn't do that. And we just went ahead to implement it. That was, for me, that was where I found it problematic at that point, because it was changing the order of service, which I do not think even the union had the power to do so, and let alone a committee of the union. So sometimes we, the church members, should study the manual and be educated about it. That if something is coming up, we have the ability to question it. But sometimes we think, oh, well, yeah, let's do it. But it's not proper. You go to other churches, even in the union, and you find that we are doing something odd. You go to some other countries, and this is supposed to be something which should be seen to be a uniform kind of thing. But you sit in your local church and you change the order of service. It's not proper. So we are learning this so we can ask the right questions at the right time. Master Mupa said, Obi balance or the Shishafu for be bar. That's why everybody should have a copy of the manual. And of course, it's one thing having a copy, and another thing understanding it. And that's why we are learning this.
Elder, but good evening. Where Panda?
Good evening. Please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Hold but I want to ask a question. You just with the answer you gave to Ima just now concerning the other concerning people doing different things from the manual. Per my understanding, a manual is supposed to be a guide that will guide you on how to do something. And now, when you check, the manual is universal. Like you said, it's supposed to be for all the Adventist churches. Wherever you go, it should be the same thing. But one thing we also need to consider is the culture of where, because for example, we are in Ghana here. Let's take Greater Accra, for example, and Nungua to be specific. They have a different culture. When you go to the Ashanti region, they have a different culture. So if you are taking the manual to be general, and we all need to follow the manual, but in a particular place, when you try to apply the exact thing, it might not work. Don't you think that those over there, those people around there, knowing very well what will work for them, even though they can, because the manual is just a guide. But when you can do something that will serve the same purpose that the manual is supposed to serve, can't you just do something within your local branch? That's my question.
You can, but with caution. The entire can say you can. The manual itself has made provision for those kinds of changes. They have given the authority to the divisions and the unions. They have given the authority to the unions and the divisions where they think it's important and where they think it borders on salvation, issues about salvation. They have given authority or the opportunity to the divisions to propose different ways of doing whatever they are talking about. But it has to go through all the lot of process. You can't sit in your local church.
And it looks like you are far away from the mic.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
You can't sit in your local church and make changes to the order of service. The General Conference has given that authority to the unions and divisions. And even with that, those decisions will have to go back to the General Conference. We are a church. The Assembly is one church. And to keep the unity of the church, certain things must be seen to be, let me say, difficult to change at your local church level. No. They make the proposal, take it to the channels, have it approved, and then you can go ahead and do it.
Okay, thank you so much, Elder.
Okay, thank you too. Because we don't want confusion in the church, in the body of Christ.
Hello, Elder. Confusion. Sorry. About the same issue. My next question would be: is there a body within the church, union, conference, or the general conference itself that ensures this uniformity? Because I think even within Ghana, right, different churches have various orders of service. And who is doing this corrective action to make sure that we are all aligned?
Yes. When it comes to these things, we have leaders in our local churches. The leaders must be educated properly. They should understand the order of service. You have to understand the church and how it operates. We have a challenge now. People from the Pentecostals and other churches have come into our church and they think that they can make changes. It's wrong. It's wrong. go through the proper channel, and if get the approval to effect the change. But you can't, with all due respect, you can't sit in your corner and make changes to anything which is in the manual. No. Yeah, I think it's community manual is a guide.
Elder, please, just a top-up question, a follow-up question on what Prince just you might just ask there.
Okay.
Elder, you see, you might ask that whether there's a committee over here who see to those things, whether people are following the service, the order of service or not. Now, I want to find out. Let's assume, like with my own question that I asked previously, there has to be a change. Let's say in our local branch. Now, are we supposed to write? I want to find out if we say the general conference, is it the main one or the one in Ghana here?
When we say general conference, we have only one, but we have, as before you came, I had mentioned that we have the conference, we have the union, we have the division, and then we have the general conference. In all these structures, we have people or committees that are responsible for ensuring that the structure is followed. Sometimes they don't do their work, but if they are doing their work, they should be concerned about some of the things happening in Ghana now, because you find certain things happening in our churches today. You go to Nigeria, you go to Kenya, you go to Zambia, you will not find these things. But we are doing them, and we think they should be accepted. No, they should not be. Today, I was having a conversation with somebody today, and I hear in some churches, people are speaking in tongues under the watch of presidents and secretaries of conferences. This should not be done. This should not be accepted. If you want to be a charismatic, go and join a charismatic church, not the Seventh-day Adventist church. You see, we have the option to remain in the church, and we have the option to go out. But if you want this church, then you have to, for God's sake, go by what the church has prayerfully decided on.
Elder,
Okay.
my problem is with what you are saying. We have to go to the general conference if we want to make a change in our local branches.
No,
now the question is,
that's not what I've said. I said there are channels that we can
follow
to let the general conference know about issues that we have problems with. The channels are there. During this week, I will delineate those.
Okay. What I'm just trying to say is, with the change of order of service among other Adventist churches across the globe, it tells you that something is missing. It tells you either people.
Wait, don't go further. It is not the church that is sanctioning it. It's some individuals who are doing that, and it's wrong. And elders should call them to book. Pastors, local pastors should question those kinds of things.
Yes.
People cannot come from general conference because people are
yes.
People are here to do that. So let us all educate ourselves about what is in the manual. And
hello. Hold on, one last one.
I think that if you want to make a comment,
related.
kindly raise your hand.
Ima.
Kindly raise your hand and let Eda acknowledge so we can have an organized discussion. Very fruitful discussion. It's interesting, yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Elder. If you want to talk, please raise up your hand. Yes. Ima, are you okay?
Elder, so maybe just to help me, one last thing related to this particular issue. In fact, prior to this, in my understanding was that the local church had a highest authority when it comes to some of these things. The local church decides, but I'm getting a different understanding now. However, I want to understand what constitutes change in the order of service. For instance, being very practical, I know in Nungua we don't have a worship hour. Okay, an hour for singing and praying. It's not within order of service at Nungua, but some other churches do that. Would that be considered a change in the order of service? Would that be something that has to go through the approval process before it can be implemented?
Well, I am a conservative person. I will say if it is not in the order of service, it should not be done. And it can't, if it is to be done, it needs approval from the appropriate quarters. If it is not approved, we should not accept it. Because if Church A is bringing in this, Church B is bringing in, it does, you see, I mean, we bring this noble church into some, it raises questions. We cannot do that. We cannot, and we should not. But I know certain things are happening and nobody is talking about them. Perhaps it's time for us to begin to talk. And for those who will be representing us at the session, it's time for us to talk about some of these things.
Okay, Elder, thank you.
Thank you too. Okay, any other? Time is after 8. It's 15 minutes after 8. But I think we have had some good discussions. And to encourage
Eda, your praise is very noisy, Eda.
No, it's not me.
Edabro, your praise is very noisy.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. I want to thank you and encourage you to come tomorrow and the subsequent days. I believe the Lord is going to bless us.
And Apeja has raised his hand. And Apeja has raised his hand.
Hey, I don't see the hand. Oh, okay. Elder, the last one.
Elder, thank you for the opportunity. I want to contribute to the order of service. If I read the manual, 20th edition, reverse 2022, page 128.
Okay.
Form of service. The Sabbath school morning service has 2 main divisions. The congregational response in praise and adoration, expressed in song, prayer, and gaze, and the message from the word of God. There is no set form or order for public worship. A short order of service is usually better suited to the rare spirit of worship. Long preliminaries should be avoided. The opening exercises should not consume time required for the preaching of the word of God. For suggested form of service, see note 2, page 186. So that my challenge is, if we see the manual, they are giving us two forms of, I would say, sample.
Okay.
Which one of us can choose to go by the short, but you can choose to go by the long one.
Yes.
And the manual is not restricted that the order of service should go to this. So if we are trying to go by, say, now if we see Nungua is doing the singing praises and do because it is not informed of the worldwide, then I have a challenge with it. So for kids that don't get time, because if you take our time to read the manual carefully, you could see that there's a certain things the manual is silent. Like the cultural aspect, one of my students also asked, manual is silent and manual respect the culture. But it seems we don't want to understand our own culture if it's in conformity of the word of God. Because per my understanding, the worship style is another form of culture. The worship style, they may be playing the organ, music, quiet, singing hymns, ceremony. It's purely one form of culture. So let us take our time and read now for this issue. A group of people is agitating it that the form of worship that we, the Africans, it has been imposed on us is somebody's culture. Because we Africans don't worship our God in that kind of quietly. So it's now that debate has been propped up. So please, let us be a little bit circumspect about how you define the order of service and what goes into the order of service. Because if you go to the manual, they are not in black and white, that from A, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can't add, you can't subtract. So that's what I'm trying to chip in. Okay. Thank you, Eda.
Thank you very much. I mean, what you are saying, I've also heard it, but we need time to study this, because you see, we belong to a church. We belong to a worldwide church, and it does its worship in a certain style. That kind of noisy worship style that you are perhaps referring to as being African, it's not everything African which will find its way in the church. We have to be circumspect about this. Our worship. What is our worship style? Is it the traditional kind of worship? So issues of definition will have to come in. So please let us pause for now and take time to study this, because when we say our worship, our style, our culture, our traditional culture has no place in Christianity. And then we also have to have this understanding that when it is about worship, So in the church we have all kinds of meetings. We have birthdays, we have naming ceremonies. They are all worship. But where divine service comes in, it's a different ball game. It's a different ball game. Even when you go through if you go through the scripture properly, during the time of David and others, the kind of instruments which were used were many stringed instruments, which you cannot use to play the kinds of songs we sing now. So we can have time to discuss this into some detail.
Okay, noted.
Yes, I thank you very much. So thank you all very much for the patronage. Tomorrow will be another day, and I would crave your indulgence to come. You have attended today's session very well, and we want to thank you. Shall we sing a song? Yeah. Any song? Jesse, can you give us another song? Is Jesse there? Okay.
Yes, Elder, I'm here. I'm thinking of one. So if the choristers here can help.
Okay. Maybe we can.
Hymn 600.
600. Okay.